The Albany Planning Board, welcome. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Going to call the meeting to order at 6:31. And we have just a few things on the agenda, the first of which is a public hearing for the improved order of Redmond and degree of Pocahontas, represented by Corey Troon and Rob Troon, and we have a few others in the room. So we'll go around as the board, just say who we are, and then if you would introduce yourselves as well. So I'm Sean Wadsworth, Chair of the Planning Board. Oh yes, telephone. Thank you, Morris. We can keep going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kathy Golding.
Curtis Coleman.
Brian Bailey.
Morris West.
Thank you.
And I'm
Maybe.
Rob Troon.
Oh, good. Peter.
Well, why don't I let him sit, right? Because I'll be an alternate.
Alternate, yeah, that's a good idea. I guess you and Morris should switch.
Okay.
Just a point, Morris.
Did you hit send yet? Or?
I didn't. I didn't. I don't even know if I finished the numbers.
Oops.
Probably might start over.
Yeah.
Thank you, Peter, for coming back.
I'm sorry, I missed a few.
Glad you came back.
Yeah. I actually stopped by at 6 and then I realized it was 6:30.
Yeah.
I switched it and I didn't read the minutes.
So we were just going around introducing ourselves, so it's actually to you.
Peter Carboni, I'm on the planning board.
Rob Troon.
Mary Levitt.
I think this is working. I don't think this is working. No.
And
Is it okay?
Morris West, yeah.
I think there was a-
all right. So, public hearing. I am going to open the public hearing for the site plan review for improved order of Redmond and the degree of Pocahontas, represented by Corey and Rob Troon. And this was a duly noticed meeting in both the Conway Sun and website and on the town hall posting. And all abutters were notified, so we did send out certified mail. So the abutters, so that is that. So I'll just turn over shortly to whoever wants to speak on behalf of, well, first thing, let's say, we have a completed site plan review application, so that is complete. It describes the intent of the International Order of the Red Man and the degree of Pocahontas to utilize the property on tax map 7, lot 89, which is in the residential zone, for a nonprofit use. And I'll turn it over to you at this point to just state again the intentions and lay out the.
Certainly. So I'm Rob Troon. I am the son of Tom and Corey Troon. Tom has recently passed. They've owned the property for the last 24 years. I think it is 1998 they bought it. Actually, I think he bought it in 90. It was 98 because we worked on it the 98, 99 winter. I got married in 99. That was the goal, to get the house done for that. So, and during that time, my father had always had an in-home business, and we had brought last time along with us the information making, that says it's okay for him to have his in-home business and whatnot. So what we're looking for now is, there's an organization that is a local organization called the Improved Order of Redmond, and then there's the degree of Pocahontas. That's the women's side of it. It's a nonprofit organization that is sole purpose is to serve the community. And I am also a member of the Improved Order of Redmond, and it's the Pennacook Tribe 116 is the local tribe or group. So what we're looking to do is try to work out a sale between the Redmond and my mom now, as the sole owner of the property, to be able to use the property as their meeting house. And so it's a large home. Part of the house would still be used as a residence, and then the other part of the house would be used as a meeting space. And the meeting space is the change in use of property, and it's probably the area of any concern. So we are an organization that consists of about 25 registered members. And anytime we have more than 10 people to show up at a meeting, it's pretty spectacular. We've had probably 4 meetings there so far, just to see if the space would work out for our meetings and stuff, just to see what the traffic flow would be like, and also, kind of the impact on the community. And my guess is no one even noticed. To give a little more, well, and then so what we'd do is we'd have, as a nonprofit, we'd have a member of the nonprofit living as a caretaker in the other section of the house, which leads me to one of the other things that I think is a true benefit in this situation is my parents haven't lived there full time in about 4 years, I would say. And as a result, it's, chase the grass down when it's 2 feet tall and all that kind of stuff. I try to get up there and plow the snow as frequently as I can, but in balancing a full-time job, it's, 2, 3, 4 days after the storm. And so the difference there would be the property would be upkept better and be a better asset to the neighborhood, instead of an eyesore I think it's been over the last few years in particular. My dad was pretty good about keeping up on the grass when it got long, but he also over the last probably 5 or 6 years struggled with a lot of physical defects and experienced those challenges of trying to keep up with that. To his honor, he was a stubborn old bugger, and would be out there on the lawn tractor or with the push mower in the summertime, or sometimes even with the snow blower, when he definitely should not have been, trying to keep up with it. And we all balance our lives. So this would definitely, having more people having a vested interest in the property would definitely provide opportunities for the home to stay less of an eyesore and stay better upkept. But I think that we had a cookout. So, and I think I described it before as when we have our meetings, it's probably no larger than if somebody was just having a gathering at their house for a cookout or something. And we had a cookout on a Wednesday night before our last meeting, and there might have been 20 to 25 people there. And nothing was on the roadway like we talked about before, and everybody was able to park in the yard. Everything worked out well, and I doubt anybody in the neighborhood even noticed. We're not a drinking club. We're not a group of, our purpose is not to, be out partying and all that kind of stuff together. Our purpose is to serve the community together. So it's office space and a meeting space. Like I said, on average, we get 10 to 11 people there. But there's 25, I think, registered in the area. So in terms of impact on the property, I don't see any big impact on the property in terms of, the resources in the area, the roadways, things of that nature. So hopefully that kind of gives an overview of a little bit of understanding of what the purpose and what we're looking at for use of the property. And Obviously, we'd love to be able, if we had our own place, have more of the cookout type things, but, it's, again, we're not an obnoxious group of people. We're, the last time we had an accountant, a professional Santa, former professional wrestler, and myself as a former principal and manager of a campground representing the group. And that's, everybody's from different walks of life. So, so hopefully that gives kind of an overview of what we have. And if there's any questions at all, please, I'm prepared to answer what I can.
Thank you. Just so we have it for the site plan review and the public hearing, just if you'd state what the meeting schedule is.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Exactly, yeah.
So we meet the first and third Wednesday of every month, and it's at 8 o'clock, 8:30. I can never remember.
Yeah.
Like I always show up early. I do that. And then that's for the Redmond, and then the degree of Pocahontas. They meet currently. They meet on those same days, but during the day, and that's a much smaller group.
Mhm.
They meet at noon, I think now. Yeah, and then occasionally we might host kind of like the leaders of the regional tribes, and it's about the same size as one of our normal meetings, and it's on Sunday during the daytime. So, and that's once every 3 or 4 months, approximately.
Yep. And then I think my only other, well, not my only other question, another question is, so you're able to do parking with all the cars off the road,
Mhm.
easy to do in this time of year.
Yeah.
In the winter,
I think what the
do you
main
think
thing-
this will be doable?
Yeah, because the way that we've always plowed, the way the driveway is, the original driveway, comes up, if you had a chance to look at it, the right side of the house. We clear that all out, and as long as it's not icy, 3, 4 cars can park there, one behind the other. Then when they purchased the house and started, remodeling and stuff, actually, it was one of the first things they did was put in a horseshoe drive. And just by the nature of that alone, we have to push snow beyond those areas. And I don't know why, but we've always chosen to park one car off of the inside of the horseshoe, if you will. So we always have that cleared out, and then up the hill a little bit so people can park there, and then around the loop. And then if you look at the property, there's on the left side, there's a driveway, it's a gravel driveway that goes up to the garage doors. And the last few years, we haven't plowed that out.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I did, but the last time that we used the snow blower to clean that area, I ended up hitting a rock and bent the shaft on the snow blower, so that went to the scrap yard. But there's a lot of space up. It was all kind of designed for where to push the snow, so you could easily fit 6 cars there as well, without. That's just kind of the normal path of how we clear it.
Yeah.
My parents always loved to have. They have some friends out of Rhode Island and stuff, and they would, they're not big partiers either, but they always loved to have gatherings, and we would have 10 cars in the yard once every couple months, and it was always a wintertime meeting, February. It kind of centered around February break, so that all the families with kids could come and stuff. But so they kind of designed it to be able to have cars in the yard.
Yep.
Always on a social level.
Well, that's good. That certainly would be is a requirement to be able to have all parking off street year round for whatever the meetings. Then I guess I'll just read the statement that I had written from the minutes of last month. That so you stated the property would be used as is with no new construction or expansion. One portion of the house would be for office space and storage, while the other part of the house would have an individual caretaker or a family residing in it. International Order of Redmen and Degree of Pocahontas holds 2 meetings per month, every other Wednesday, typically 12 to 16 attendees. And Mr. Troon stated that nothing would be stored outside. Meetings are organizational and business in nature, and that international order, improved, sorry, I keep saying international, improved order of Red Men and degree of Pocahontas, will be a good neighbor and would not be noisy, will not be a nuisance, and will not be serving alcohol. Mr. Troon stated that vehicles will be parked on the property and not on the road. All these things still.
Yep.
Okay.
I guess the only thing, just to clarify, there's an unfinished section,
Mhm.
and our goal would be to try to finish that off,
Mhm.
for the offices and meeting hall space, but
Yeah.
we're not gonna add to the footprint, I think is how we put it there. So,
Yeah. Interior work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Public comment or questions from the board?
Yes.
Yes, we have, we sold the property to them originally,
Okay.
and I still own a field right next to them.
Yes.
And we have had a lot of problems already with the water supply.
I see.
My son lives in a mobile home there and takes care of the small park that it is.
Yep.
There's 3 sites, I think, three or 4 sites.
Okay.
And we've lost lost the water supply 3 or 4 times, and even in the winter, he had to go and correct the problems there because they cut into our line and they were using water out of our line, which is not intended to be.
I see.
So my son finally cut their line right off completely. So they actually have no water supply at all unless they get a full line on their own property.
So when you say they, who is they?
The Troons.
Okay. Okay.
And we don't want to make things difficult for them or anything else, but I don't want my son to have difficulties there either.
I see.
And, you know, he had to work 3 or 4 times last winter in the cold to correct things that they had caused.
Uh-huh.
We never had a problem with that before that when we had 3 mobile homes in there. And so he finally disconnected it completely and with my approval of it, that we're not supplying them with water. And I think we have to stick with that because if they're free to do it, they're gonna tie in our system. And they really should put in a separate well as well as water lines.
I brought a letter that we wrote to Tom
Okay.
that you can read if you want.
All right.
That's the letter we sent to him earlier, and you might want to read it out so that people can hear it.
I will read it in a moment. I want to just have a clarification question. So I have the tax map up here. And the Troons are on lot 89. If you can see where I'm circling here with the arrow, so it's this rectangular lot here that is 0.7 acres, correct? And Mr. Levitt, your lot is it this one next to it here?
I'm sorry.
Which lot is yours on the tax map? Can you,
It'll be to the right of,
to the right,
to the left of theirs.
to the left of
If you're
theirs,
standing on the highway, it'll be to the left.
right on the road, on
Yeah.
Bald Hill Road?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. And so yours is 2.3 acres?
Right.
Okay. And you have a shared water system?
We allowed them to, you know, we told them they could get water there, but the next thing we knew, they cut it right into our line. So
Okay.
I had to go, I spent $400 to make sure that we were on the right track with owning the property and doing what was right.
Yes.
And that's all we ask of anybody else, do what's right.
Yes.
And I'm sure that they intend to do what's right. I'm not saying that whatsoever.
Yes.
But we don't want any problems with the neighbors or anything else.
Yes.
But I do think it has to be noted carefully of what they have done what they're going to do.
Okay.
Uh,
And where is the well?
It's across the town road on the south side of the road.
Okay. So that's a different property entirely.
Yes, I used to own that property too, but we sold that years ago. And they have their own water system and so forth. They have a separate well and all that. But this well was attached to my father's house,
Okay.
which I sold to them, and then they turned around and they dismantled the whole house. And then they're using the driveway and the approach to their property to do it, and I understand the situation, and I'm not trying to down them whatsoever.
Yep.
I just want to make sure everything is clear.
Okay. Yes. So this well that's across the road, your property still gets water from that same well.
Yes,
And do you have
that is the original property. I owned both sides of the road at that time.
Okay.
And my dad owned part of it, of course, and then I inherited his.
Uh-huh.
And I sold the land and his house to them, and they immediately tore it all down. So,
Okay. I will read this, and then Rob, I saw you wanted to share, so I'm gonna read this letter in, and then we'll hear from
Can I
Rob.
just clarify something?
Yes.
I missed it at the last meeting. That it's intended to be an owner occupied use. Is that the way, do I understand it right? It's gonna be an owner occupied business or use?
In a way.
Not so much an owner, but as the
Yeah.
person living in and a member of this
Yeah.
group?
Yes.
Okay, just
The
curious.
owner is going to be the owner is intended to be the organization,
Yeah.
so that's who will be on the title.
Yeah, and of course, that will take some time for the transfer, but
Yeah.
the way we have it set up is if it works out for the use of the property, they'll start renting it from us, and then the sale will take place as whenever the sale can take place.
Okay.
But yes, that organization, a member of that organization will live and be the caretaker.
That's my question.
Okay. All right, so this is Mr. Levitt's letter dated December 4th, 2020, to Mr. Troon, Mr. Tom Troon, deceased now. I'm very disappointed in your approach to sell your home on Bald Hill Road, 1324. As I'm sure you are aware that the well was for the original house only. The 7/10 of an acre lot was not for two homes and a business operation. I spent a lot of money to research the deed giving water right to the original house and definitely did not include two houses and or a business on it. If you wish to sell it as a business, please tell me by that they must put in a water supply of their own. Do not expect to run a business on my well. Sorry to upset the plan, but must protect the water supply. I would suggest that you sell the original house with water and the new house as needing a well. Yours truly, Arthur Levitt. So that is the letter. I just read your letter, Mr. Levitt. And these are clippings of house for sale. Okay. Do you have anything else, Mr. Levitt, right now? Okay.
no, I think that pretty well sums it up.
All right. Thank you.
We're not opposed to what they're doing. Frankly, I don't think it's a very good place for any big gathering
Mhm.
at all, because there are some neighbors there. There's two houses across the street.
Mhm.
Up a little ways there's another house or two,
Mhm.
and they're not going to bother them, but the traffic that road is certainly not suitable for heavy traffic of any kind. I do think that has to be taken into consideration, because that's, again, it's going to gonna cost us more money in taxes. If the town has to spend more money on roads and so forth. So that's what we're looking at, and we, like I said, they're great people, and I'm not gonna want that. But I just have to look out for our side of it too.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and if I may, I don't know how we want to address this, but I want to ask for some clarification from Arthur regarding some statements that he made.
Yep, so you just talk through the chair.
All right, so the first question I have is, the statement was made toward the end of what Arthur said, that we're using the driveway and the approach, and I'm not sure what he meant about that. So if I could get some clarification, because he's implying that we're utilizing something for our home, and I'm not sure what he's talking about there. So the driveway and the approach, I'd like a little clarification on what he meant by that.
Okay. Mr. Levitt, Mr. Trun is asking about the driveway being used. You were having a comment on the driveway?
Well, no, the driveway is on their own property,
Okay,
and
yes,
I have no problem with that.
okay,
The only problem we've had whatsoever is about the water.
the water.
And, but I just think it's a tough spot to, I think the town has to look out for the rest of the town too, because of heavy traffic or anything, it's gonna be a disaster. I don't think there's gonna be a heavy traffic, but we can't guesstimate what's gonna happen in a few years. If they sell the property and somebody else buys it, you know they're gonna have different terms, want different things, so we have to protect it from the beginning, not at the end.
Yes.
That's my concern. Okay?
Thank you.
My next question is if you could pull the tax map back up, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah.
So if you can see where site 123 is just below our property.
Here.
Yeah, somewhere in that, right in the lower area where it says the acreage.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that neighborhood is where the well is.
Okay,
It's
And-
just across the road, right close to the highway.
okay,
It's about 100 feet away from the road. So my question is, well, just to clarify, so that well is owned by the people at plot 123.
okay.
And his property, site 80, so am I reading it right? 80, Arthur's property. 90?
90.
The well is owned by Arthur.
No, the well is owned by the owners of site
No,
123.
right on.
You and I, my parents, both have deeded access to that well. You used to own that well, and I'll
We
address
still own that well.
So according to the statement he said, and according to our deed, which you have, the deed that references it, that well originally went with the property, with my parents' property. And then at some point, the trailer lot was added, the water line to there. So don't,
That's not true.
Okay,
Well,
let's, everyone over here. So all the comments come this way.
the trailer lot has been there for a long time, and the deed to the property was just for water for the little house. And he still owns the water, the well. The other houses on the other side of the road do not own the well.
Okay.
No,
Do you have copies of deed? Of the deed stating the water rights? Or do you have any written anything about the water rights?
I don't know of anything offhand. It maybe enters into the original deed that my father owned that property originally, and where they built the house used to be a garden for what was it? It has,
not cement blocks,
They raised
chimney
areas.
blocks,
What?
chimney blocks.
No. Where the house is now is where the front yard of it is where the garden for the vegetables that
Yeah,
my father used to raise.
yeah,
So, you know, we're familiar with all the property up there, but it doesn't break it down very well.
Okay, just a moment. Thank you.
I'm just wondering what the ordinances say about operating a nonprofit in a residential area. What did Tin Mountain have to go through in order to obtain their permits to operate?
Yes, we can pull that up.
Well, while you're researching that, do you mind if can I continue with my questions? 'Cause
It's all going through me, so we'll just wait a minute here. Otherwise, I'm just playing catch up.
Yeah.
Page 15, I think.
Page 15, thank you. Okay.
I'm just having trouble finding the nonprofit. But I looked at it all year, I'd say last meeting. It appeared to me that, pending
It's in the residential. Here it is, right here.
public review.
Where is this? CBA.
This is not it. This is still commercial.
Yeah.
Not in the residential.
Doesn't have.
Yeah, here we are. I just wanted to pass it. Okay. All right. So we are in the zoning ordinance here. Roman 3, land use is permitted. A residential zone, which this is. Going down to 3, uses permitted. Actually, we're going down to 4. Other uses permitted. The following permitted uses are subject to site plan review and approval of the planning board. Additional conditions may be imposed by the planning board to assure that the use does not violate the intent of this ordinance. It's consistent with the goals established in the town's master plan and the conditions set forth in the special exceptions section of this ordinance. Other uses permitted are A, church, parish house, or other religious use. B, school. C, community center, hall, lodge, park, or playground operated by a government or nonprofit organization.
That means it goes to ZBA.
No,
I don't know.
so exception.
Special exception. ZBA, grants a special exception. I'm not planning board. Look up CBA.
Special exception. Okay.
So you're reading it as,
Can you look up a special exception? I believe it can only be granted by ZBA.
oh, let's see.
Page 16, D, number 1.
Well, I don't think it has to go to ZBA. I think it just has to
Conditions set
still
forth.
fit into what the special exceptions of, let's see,
The conditions.
let's
The
read this again.
conditions set forth in the special exception section.
Yes, the conditions set forth in the special exceptions section of this
Mhm.
ordinance. Okay,
What page, Pete?
16.
thank you.
Special exception.
ZBA. ZBA, Roman 7, letter B, number 1, special exceptions. This is ZBA is authorized to hear and decide the following. ZBA may make a special exception subject to appropriate conditions and safeguards as determined by the board and as prescribed by RSA, blah, blah. In acting on an application for a special exception, the board shall take into consideration whether or not the site is an appropriate location for such use, not only in context with the land to be dedicated to such use, but in context with the surrounding land uses. In order to determine this, the following criteria may be evaluated. And then there are a list of criteria: property values, traffic, nuisance, adequacy of municipal facilities, design and architecture, lighting, hours of operation, and buffer zones. I'm going to go back to just the ordinance of what is permitted uses and other uses permitted. Yes. Thank you.
Other uses, nonprofit.
Right, so the following permitted uses are subject to site plan review and approval of the planning board. Additional conditions may be imposed by the planning board to assure the use does not violate the intent of this ordinance, is consistent with the goals established in the master plan, and the conditions set forth in the special exceptions section of this ordinance. So I think it's saying, to me, planning board can approve these permitted uses so long as they fit into what the special exceptions are. I don't think it has to go to ZBA. I think it just has to fit within what those things are.
Yeah, because we did look at that last
Yes.
meeting too.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think we agreed that.
So this is a nonprofit organization applying to use a residential zone for their nonprofit entity.
So you want to go through the special exceptions and one by one and
I guess so, yep. That sounds good. So that was 16. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so read and discuss on each one? Sure. Okay, first special exception, or we'll go through the list of special exceptions that for this to be approved by the planning board, the use would need to fit in with our assessment of this. Property values. The applicant shall present certification, well, this is the ZBA process, but that there will not be a negative impact on abutting properties as a result of the proposed exception. Present certification from a ZBA approved appraiser of property values, indicating that there will be no negative. Will this use create a negative property value impact? This is a consideration. Do we want to discuss or just read through this list? This is all very conjecture-y, right? The process says you will get a appraiser, which none of us are.
I would think that would be if the ZBA was voting on it.
Yes,
And
we are not
we don't.
in that entire process. We're just seeing if it fits in there in this general context. Do we think this creates negative property value? I don't know. I'm not an appraiser. We can discuss, we can read through this. We can also, this does not have to be decided here and now tonight, right? We can
Is this currently unoccupied?
Is it unoccupied?
Yes, my parents have not lived there full-time. They've been back and forth since the winter of 2019.
So in general, I'm not saying this is the law, but in general, occupied units are more productive than non-occupied. So it's not a negative effect from that aspect.
As described,
But,
would be more well manicured, plowed,
but yeah, being occupied
being,
from past experiences is better value than non-occupied. And from what I see, it doesn't mean it applies here, but that's my opinion.
anyway.
I don't see a major value hit to the neighborhood by having a club there with a family living there too.
Kathy, do you have any on this one?
We're setting precedent. And by having a club there, if it transferred over, something else could have a negative effect. So this is like an unintentional kind of consequence that I think we should consider.
Okay. I'm gonna go to the next one. Traffic.
You didn't have your say.
I don't feel the judge, honestly. I mean, I think there's both ways, right?
I
There's
agree.
someone living in there, taking care of the property, having it look better, doing improvements, all those things, keeping the property value up, and then, but you just can't predict the future. How is it actually gonna be used, and unknown to me.
I mean, would the abutters to Tin Mountain feel like that's lowering the property value?
Good question.
Maybe some would.
It's another nonprofit
Maybe
just
someone-
down the road in the residential zone, right?
I mean, it all depends on your opinion. of it.
Perspective.
I mean, it's-
That's where the ZBA would come in if we choose not to let it go
Yes,
into effect.
that's correct.
And they would get a ZBA approved appraiser of property values to make this determination, not us. Okay, B, traffic. No traffic hazard will be created and traffic access will not alter the character of the neighborhood. The main access point shall be from a major arterial or collector and not from neighborhood streets. The ZBA may consider the comments of the town planner in evaluating the traffic study. So I think the salient points are no traffic hazard will be created and traffic access will not alter the character of the neighborhood. So in my mind, the big hazard is cars on the road and that they do need to be off the road for any property in a residential zone. And traffic access will not alter the character of the neighborhood is another, how do you determine that?
I think for the amount of traffic that they're going to bring in, it's not going to have an impact.
Yes, every other Wednesday, handful of cars.
And you just, they continue to consider the future and
And if people park on the road, they will be ticketed and towed, just like any other person parking on the road that we deal with in the town.
Yes.
We write a lot of tickets, people parking on the roads, and especially on the Pascona Road.
Correct.
And then out of Ferncroft. So, I mean, it's just standard policy. I mean, if there's parking on the road, they're gonna get ticketed, towed, right? I mean, so.
That's correct. In this instance, we would want to make it very clear that if this use is going to get approval, that just shouldn't be happening at all anyways, right? It's a little different than an interloper coming through Albany and not really knowing what and parking on the road. This is our community coming for approval and us saying one of the conditions of approval is there will be no cars on the road year round. So a little different, but true to the same. If someone does park on the road, take it in tow. Yeah.
There is no parking on that road, is there? Okay, so that shouldn't even be being discussed then, because it's not being proposed.
It's not being,
No,
It's
just
a
part of it.
consideration.
It would be part
It's
of
part
it's
it.
a
of the whole-
consideration.
Unbelievable.
As we said, like right now, it's easy to not park on the road. In the winter, it is much harder to not park on the road.
I didn't hear him propose that he was going to, so I'm not sure if it applies here as we discuss it. That's what I see. It'd be any same as any other person saying they weren't gonna park on the road.
Yes. Agreed.
You're definitely not proposing any addition.
Traffic, any other comment, traffic? We are discussing, sorry if this is hard to hear, how this might affect the neighborhood in property value or traffic.
It's hard to say.
It's hard to say. And it's open comment. This is public session, public hearing, it's open comment. So if you'd like to comment, just raise your hand and we'll welcome any comments. I'm gonna move on to C, nuisance and hazards. The ZBA may review the operation of the development for hazards or nuisances such as resultant cinders, dusts, wastes, fumes, gases, odors, smoke, heat, electrical disturbances, vibrations, noise, or hazards associated with the use of this location. The ZBA determines that any hazards or nuisances cannot be overcome and are not customarily found in residential neighborhoods, and that hazardous wastes are being disposed of in an appropriate manner, the proposed use shall be denied. I think that's bad wording, but I am not hearing of any nuisance hazards. Does anyone else have any nuisance hazards concerns? Adequacy of private and municipal facilities. The ZBA shall review the proposed facilities, including drainage, sewer, septic, water, electric, and other utilities to ensure adequate provisions to meet the needs of the proposed development. When making these determinations, the town engineer may be consulted. Here we are.
There's no development involved here. This is all within the walls of the existing structure, correct?
Unfortunately, it's all private water, so it would be a civil situation.
Yeah.
Not a town situation, we wouldn't be involved.
It doesn't apply,
And yet, it does say the adequacy of private/municipal facilities. So does this private facility have
It does not.
what it needs to function, including water, septic, drainage, electric?
So there's no water in that right now?
I don't agree that we should.
Actually, is this a good time for me to speak on this?
Sure.
Because, so as I mentioned, the property has deeded rights to that well. Not described as clearly, to paint a clear picture, one well, two pumps, okay? One pump feeding my parents' house, one pump feeding the trailers on the next lot over. So it was actually, I'll address this to you, but I'm saying to Mr. and Mrs. Levitt, the things that I heard were a little bit disappointing. I've known Mr. and Mrs. Levitt since I was about 12, when my parents bought their first house from them. And Arthur and my dad share a lot of qualities that I've always admired in both of them. This is the third property that my family has bought from the Levitt family, and there have never been any issues or concerns. Now with the well, and so it's been 24 years. It was 1998, in the fall of 1998, I believe, is when my parents bought that house. At the time that they bought the house, it was in complete despair, and everyone knew that. And we spent the entire winter, 98, 99, and we took the house down to the studs. We didn't tear anything down. We took the house down to the studs. It was overridden by squirrels and whatever else. Plumbed, made everything square plumb, redid all the electrical, redid all the plumbing, new heating, new sheetrock, installation, everything. Cleaned up the house from what it was. It was completely overrun outside. Cleaned up the outside. Since that day, we've never had an issue with the well situation. Throughout the 24 years, at times they have had issues with their pump, and they tapped into our pump with us by our permission, a joint agreement. At times, our pump has gone down, and we have tapped into theirs. In the summer of, I think it was 2018, might have been 2019, their pump was down, and they were hooked up to our pump for the entire summer.
Oh, that's not true.
That don't interrupt me, and
So
it
we're
is
just
100% true.
everything's directed right here.
Yep.
So you're not talking to each other, you're just talking.
And it's been, little repairs here and there throughout the years. And the thing that disappoints me the most is that we sat in Mr. and Mrs. Levitt's kitchen at the table with Mr. Levitt talking about this, and we had a piece of paper and we drew up the plans together because there's two water lines like this. And we drew up the plans together to put a T on both water lines with a valve on it, so that if they needed to use our pump, open the valve. Simple. When their repairs are fixed, close the valve. If we needed to use their pump, open the valve. Simple. Away we go.
No,
Okay, hold on.
Don't, yeah. So
Mr. Trune can finish your statement, and then we'll
Yeah.
come over and hear what you have to say.
it's very disappointing for me to hear this and to hear the adamant denial, because we drew those plans up because it's been a back and forth. Sometimes it's a week, sometimes it's 2 days. We were at a situation where we replaced the pump, our pump, 4 times in a month. And that's when we did that. Now, no one has lived in the house since that time. We did have water up until, I'm gonna say when we met here, we still had water a month ago. And the other thing that's very disappointing to me is that my mother and Mr. Levitt spoke on the phone, and at that time, we didn't have water all of a sudden. All of a sudden, the water's off. We're trying to figure out what's wrong with our pump, because we have a pump in the house too. Working on that, trying to figure out what's wrong with it. And he knew nothing of what happened. But today he says he told his son to disconnect our pump. So that's concerning to me. It is very concerning to me because we've been in good standing with the family for 36 years. And it sounds like they're talking about something completely unrelated to what's going on. And I'll tell you, if my father was here right now, he'd be one upset person to hear the denial and I'm sorry, but the lies. He'd be very frustrated.
So really, I mean, we don't, the planning board, this is really a planning board issue. I mean, we just look at it, if it has to have water to be occupied, the rule on, obviously, right? I mean,
I'd like to make a point.
Yeah.
So we're talking about utilities that there's no, I mean, if you read this, if this were to go ZBA, which I don't see where it needs to, because of the proposed development concerns, I can understand this conversation, but there is no proposed development concerns. At best, there's a change of use, and I'm not even seeing that. This is a residence that they're not changing the structure at all.
Well, it is a change of
Inside.
use. It's gonna be
Well,
owned
there may be a change of use.
by a nonprofit entity,
But
not
what-
by an individual.
What is the proposed development here? Have to do with the wells.
Nonprofit.
A nonprofit
Okay,
entity in a residential zone,
and you would consider that a proposed development or a change of use?
change of use.
Correct. So D, unless they're proposing development of the property in some way. I'm not sure if it applies. I understand maybe it's a change of use. That's what I said.
What are you saying doesn't
So you're
apply?
just saying the D.
Any of this
that
well
we're looking
issues,
at doesn't apply, right?
not as a proposed development. They're not proposing changing well systems or anything. If it's working, it's working. If it's not, I'm not sure if the state requires that, do they? Require,
No, these are our ordinances.
yeah,
This is our ordinance.
If I may,
Hold on.
no, sure.
I just want to know.
So you're
what
talking
they're
about
proposing.
D, adequacy of private
Yeah,
municipal facilities, and you're saying, you're viewing that this doesn't apply because it is
Not at all.
not a development, only a change of
they're not
use.
proposing any development use, maybe a change of use. Kathy wants to add to it.
That's all right. It says proposed facilities. There is no proposed facilities.
Just a moment, yes, I will, just a moment. And Mrs. Levitt, I'm gonna come to you as well. I'm just gonna go back to this, other uses permitted, this is us, planning board.
Correct,
We can impose extra conditions, right?
correct.
To assure that it does not violate the ordinance or the intent of the ordinance, is consistent with the master plan and the conditions set forth in the special exceptions. So I understand that this is a change of use and not a development. But I think it has to fit into
Right,
the special exceptions.
and many years, when we were, been 2 or 3 years for making that master plan, it was pretty much to use houses for farming, meeting places and stuff. I know we have to go and get into it a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I don't see a proposed development.
Yeah.
We're not having that conversation about development. They're using the existing structure and the existing rooms the way they are for a meeting place. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's a proposed development of use.
I don't know that it's a proposed development either, but it is change of use, and I think the proposed use and site plan review to get approval from the planning board does need to fit within all of these things. Right? This is where we're coming at with
Okay.
meeting the spirit of meeting the ordinances, meeting the master plan, and meeting these special exceptions.
Right.
Okay, so we are on the same page, I think.
Yeah, except for the details about the well, I'm just not sure if they apply.
Yes, we're still working through that.
Yeah.
Mrs. Levitt, thank you for waiting.
The well has 2 pumps in it now, which belong to Tom, and they're neither one are working. That's why he cut into my son's water line.
Okay. Thank you. I gotta say, it's a little hard to completely understand because we don't have a map of where the well is or where the wells are or where these connections are. I think we're very likely headed into we need more information territory that is probably not gonna get approval tonight. I'm not saying that definitely, but I think that's where we're heading. We don't have enough information. And we're gonna need to see if there actually is deeded rights.
You have our deed.
Okay, we're gonna read through that then in a bit. And we would also wanna get whatever deeds you have for your property, and we would wanna see deeds from property 123, I think. This is my inclination on the well thing. And since we're still talking about the private facilities, anyone else have on the board thoughts or directions they're thinking about in regard to water and the wells? I think we're reading through the deed. Anyone coming across anything of note? I see a lot of meets and bounds.
Mhm.
I don't see anything in here about water. Or wells. It's just distances and
Well, we can do that. Well, we can do that. Yeah, I guess so. It's 3 days, right? 2 out of 2, 3.
okay. Not finding anything in the DB. So if you think you have other information, that would be helpful to present it.
I know when I was preparing the information, I read it.
Okay.
So it's fresh in my mind for the last month and a half or so.
Yep.
So it was really included in there.
So the information I'm not finding is, the structure versus the boundary lines. There's no information showing the structure versus the
That's
boundaries.
not in the plan yet.
It's the existing structure.
And the reason why I ask is, I see two issues.
Yeah.
That might require us to go to my opinion, require us to recommend a ZBA. One is, they have to have, sanitation and adequate facilities. So they're obviously gonna have to, however they work it out, they're gonna obviously have to have water. And if they wanna have a well, it's gonna have to be 75 feet from the structure, which we don't know is gonna work.
Yep.
They may need an exception from the ZBA on that, they may need to work something out with levels. So and then the second one is, it may not be an issue because we don't have a structure. Footprint is, wells have to be 75 feet from the boundary line and the house, so, no, from the house, so
From the well.
structure. Septic or structure?
So
Septic, okay, so those two issues are not a big deal if the ZBA allows it, which I think they will if they can't say they can't put them in. Those are the only two things I see that we really not qualified or to make a decision on in this board. It's my opinion, I don't know, anybody have a comment on that? Other than that,
I don't think that's part of our decision
okay,
when things are existing.
Right.
If they had to put in a well, that would be up to a designer.
the ZBA to approve it or just the design?
No, it would be up to the designer to approve it, put it through the board of selectmen, and the selectmen deny it, then it
That
could go
is-
through
okay.
ZBA, but
Correct.
I don't think that's a
Yeah.
issue. I think more water rights right now, if we could see an easement, a deed of easement to those water rights, that would satisfy the water issue that we're seeing that we would have to
Yeah.
approve.
Which we don't have.
I mean, it's one of those things, it's, for whatever reason, it's not here, but it obviously exists because no bank would ever give a loan on it if it didn't.
Not a banker, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comment on adequacy of private municipal facilities, specifically water? Or should we move on to the next, I think are gonna be pretty clear, because they're not actually an issue, but we're just gonna read through them. But any other discussion as far as the well right now? I think, what I'm gonna be putting in the minutes is that we don't have deeded rights from any of the property owners. We don't have any written documentation from any of the property owners saying who has rights to what. So we really don't know. Is that agree? Does everyone agree to that? Does anyone have anything else to present? Okay, hearing none. So I'm just going to move on to the others. I think they'll be pretty quick. Design and architecture. The design and architecture of the proposed structure shall be reviewed to determine its compatibility with abutting residential structures. There's no changes to the external appearance, so this is moot. Lighting plans shall be submitted, no direct glare. I think we talked about this at the last meeting. There weren't actually any new light installments going on, or
Just traditional end of the driveway.
It's the
there's a
lighting that
post,
is.
End of the walkway, there's a post, something on the peak of the house.
any lighting would have to fit within the zoning ordinance, which is basically light shall stay on the property So shielding so that the direct light is on the property, not going off onto the other properties, abutting properties. G, hours of operation. Hours of operation will be appropriate so as not to interfere with the abutting residential neighborhood by means of excess traffic and off-peak hours, on-screen lighting that disturbs residential uses, and other factors that make the facility different from a residential neighborhood. What were the meeting times again?
8 o'clock.
Evening
Yeah.
for the improved order resident. So every other Wednesday, 8 o'clock. Maybe something to consider. I think that is off-peak hours, yes. Starting at 8, going into 9, maybe 10 if it's a late meeting. Seems off-peak.
Seems,
Seems.
nothing
This
in
is,
writing,
yeah, right.
which is what we have to abide by.
That said, it's a small amount of cars and it's. H, buffer zones, a perimeter buffered area of 25 feet adjacent to all budding properties shall be maintained unless a greater buffer is required by the ZBA due to intensity of use and interference with adjacent properties. It's the existing 25-foot setbacks. It is what it is, right? It is what it is.
Existing.
Nothing's changing on the footprint. Okay. All right. So where are we? Do either of you, Mr. Troon or Mrs. Troon, have anything else to present for the site plan review?
Unfortunately, we thought we had everything there, and the one piece that you need is missing, so.
Okay. Mr. and Mrs. Levitt, do you have any other comment on this right now?
Do you have any comment
No,
on what we said?
Okay. Thank you.
I can have my papers back.
Yes. You may. Thank you. Morris, would you? Thank you. So I think we have closed public.
Can I make a comment? I'm not
Oh,
on
yes.
the board today, but
Yes.
as far as I'm interpreting it, the special exceptions are if someone's asking for a special exception. The way I read it, they don't need a special exception. That it is granted because it is a nonprofit. I don't think we need, I think it's good to have gone through it, but I don't think they need a special exception, is my interpretation of it.
Okay.
That's my interpretation too.
Let's go back and read that again. Okay. Residential, other uses permitted.
It says other uses permitted.
The following permitted uses are subject to site plan review and approval of the planning board. Additional conditions may be imposed by the planning board to ensure that the use does not violate the intent of this ordinance, is consistent with the goals established in the town's master plan, and the conditions set forth in the special exceptions section of this ordinance. So it's an and, not an or.
So we can if we don't think it fits.
Can
Right.
what?
So. Conditions may be imposed, if we don't feel they fit, but we don't need to impose anything. Overall, it seems to fit. And the water issue, is, a private issue.
Well, okay. To that point, I would say,
I would like to give an example. If you sent a safety officer up there to evaluate this property to condemn it or to put violations in. As long as the septic works, as long as the setbacks were there before the rules were made. That's it. I mean, they don't have to have running water. You can't condemn it, can you? Unless,
my other
maybe now
question-
with the group meeting there, we could put that as a condition.
Yes, you're right, this is what it was, that's what I was gonna say.
Would it require the approval of the fire chief?
I don't believe so. It's not a commercial property. It's not being used for commercial use.
Well, I think,
This is.
yeah,
That's the difference, right? If it was just residential, then everything you know about residential, you know far more about it than me. But the way I'm reading it, the reason we're here in a public hearing for site plan review is because it's a non-residential use. And so non-residential
Is
use.
in-home use like that considered commercial?
That has its own section in the ordinance. It's different than an organization, right? We could go through what home business means and home occupation means, but they are different and they have different criteria than a nonprofit use of multiple members with multiple people meeting, right? Basically, home occupation, home business is one person doing their own thing. This is not that.
But it is a non-profit.
It is a nonprofit.
So I can't answer that question, it would be subject to commercial inspection by the police, so, but I can't answer that.
You could give conditional approval based on all these items. Right?
It's an option.
I think the most important is the deeded water rights to show that
Right,
we've done our due diligence and shown that there's water and septic available to the property.
right. I agree.
Other than that, everything meets.
I think we could just make a condition, but the condition is the cart before the horse. We need to get the documents first. There's claims that there are deeded documents, so we need the documentation to get all the information and then proceed with the decision, whether it's us approving or denying site plan review or kicking it to ZBA or what, who knows what it is, but I don't feel that we can make a decision tonight without all the information for all the interested parties. That's what I'm gonna propose in a moment, unless anyone else has anything else to.
I have one last thing before it closes off the public is, now hearing this, I think Chief Solomon with the fire safety water is very important. So, that's the other side of the coin, I guess, so.
didn't we in the last meeting ask for Chief Solomon's approval?
Yes.
Yes. To my knowledge, we've had two people try to schedule with them and haven't been able to schedule.
Okay.
So it was just part of one of the things, so I didn't know if it was to gain the occupancy or for the process, but as of even last week, they were still trying to get together with them, it wasn't possible.
Okay. All right. I'm just gonna turn to you, Kathy. Procedurally, do we close and then vote on tabling and continuing the site plan review process at the next meeting? We don't have to repost and all that stuff. We just have to have it in the minutes that we're gonna continue the public hearing. Okay. At 7:45, I'm closing the public hearing. I'm gonna make a motion to continue the public hearing at the next regularly scheduled Albany Planning Board meeting, which will be July the 11th at 6:30 PM. For site plan review for map 7 lot 89, improved order Redmond degree Pocahontas. What's the rest of the thing?
Yeah. But you,
Nonprofit in a residential zone. That's the motion.
Second.
Kathy Gould, seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Good. And then I'm just gonna put in the notes, if you do in fact want to continue with site plan review at the next month's meeting, the documentation that will be needed is the fire chief
Well,
and
yeah,
any documentation you have about the water rights that you want to
I
pursue.
think, you know the situation, we're gonna have to withdraw. We wanna thank you all for your time. The bank will not allow us to go past June 30th.
There's no, yeah,
No, this was our last straw.
I'm sorry to hear that
Yeah.
for your intentions and processes.
So, it'll be very sad to see all the work that my family has done with that house, and you know, I've been there side by side with both my parents. Like I said, from the day they bought it, cleaning out the first part and rebuilding it to adding the new sections, and it's a shame that it's gonna leave our family. But maybe they'll snag it up at the foreclosure auction, I don't know. Apparently that's the goal. So, it's too bad.
Alright,
Thank you all for your
thank
time.
you, thank you.
Thank you.
Alright, Morris, would you kindly see if our 7 o'clock, hopefully we're waiting, Rich Frigiu is out there?
Thank you, Rich. Yes.
Oh, boy. Sorry, Rich.
How you doing? How are you? Welcome. Nice to meet you.
You too.
Sean Wadsworth, Chair of the Planning Board. Let's just go around with introductions.
Kathy Golden.
Kathy, Curtis Coleman, Curtis,
Brian Bailey.
Peter Cavallon.
I'm Morris Weston, alternate for the planning board. I won't be voting today.
So we're here for a preliminary consultation
Yes.
for Mr.
For sure.
Frigiu. Thank you. For map 6, lot 52, the address is 2219 Route 16, and business is RCC Incorporated.
Correct.
Okay. And Mr. Frigiu, do you want to show us what your plans are for the
Yeah.
property?
Yeah, just gonna be doing an office building. I sent the,
You did. I
PDF. You guys look at the plans, the big plans?
I did. This is the first time for the rest of the
Okay, well, I thought the big plans is a lot easier.
Yeah.
You want me to set it right here? So there's an existing foundation there, you guys probably already know that. Existing well, fields. So basically, I just want to do a business building there and run my business out of there.
You got the pole barn, right? for that,
Yeah,
which is-
Yeah, I never got a chance to fix the roof, just been so busy.
Yeah, but you did the engineering. right?
Yes, yeah,
So-
yeah.
That's good.
There's multiple cells, I'm trying to find where it is.
It's, what, about two miles on?
It's Jay Nelson's old place.
It's,
Oh, the
it's
one.
the old.
The one-wheel drive.
One-wheel drive.
Yeah. Across my ledge.
I think Jay Nelson used to have it.
Yeah, it's Jay Nelson.
So
So then,
is this, what is
the one-wheel drive.
it? 52.
And you bought the property?
Yes, yeah, over a year ago.
And this is gonna be solely for business?
Yes.
And what kind of business is it?
I'm a custom home builder, for contracting out.
So this basically be, office space?
Yep,
Very nice. Nice to see.
I'm a timber framer also, so I'm trying to incorporate some timber framing in it. To try to,
There's some,
What it would be, Kathy, retail space?
That's office.
all office spaces, yep,
You see, it has a conference room too, so
Yeah.
I'm sure.
yeah.
It's a change of use at all, because that's
Well,
always
it's commercial,
commercial and always retail there.
Is this all commercial, or is it part residential?
Route 16 is all commercial,
All commercial,
but some
You
of
did
it
at one
is-
time, what day, living there, was someone living there one time?
They weren't supposed to.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be.
I believe, what is it, 500?
Like I said, I remember one time they had a camper, they were living in a camper or something, they kept.
Yeah.
So I bought it in December of 2019.
Yeah.
You bought it in 2019?
Yeah.
Huh. And where exactly would the building be placed if you're looking from Route
The
16?
existing building, foundation is still there.
On the right, in the back?
If you pull in the driveway, it'd be on the right.
Right there on the right where
Yeah.
the old building was?
Yep, and then there's a pole barn in the back,
Yeah.
and then the well sits further back, and then the leach field is to the left.
There used to be a house.
There was actually another structure to the left, and it
Oh, there was?
That burnt down one night, yeah.
Oh, gee, I didn't know that.
So you're gonna build that right on the existing footprint?
Yes, yeah.
Looks great.
It does.
Looks great.
anyone living there?
No.
Straight daytime business use?
Yeah, oh, yeah, office space only, yeah.
I didn't see any showers or bathtubs, just toilets and sinks.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm definitely gonna put some bathrooms in there for the,
Bathroom, but no, yeah.
no one anybody living there. Basically, 8 to 5 office use, 8 to 6, whatever. I'll probably store a couple of my trucks in the back in the pole barn, so you won't see it from the road. And then basically do a little parking area for the staff.
How big of a lot is that?
It's 2.02 acres.
It is here on the text map, right? This one?
Yeah, is it 2.02?
Maybe 0.32.
So you meet all the setbacks, and you meet all the setbacks. and-
Yes.
Yeah.
I would imagine from the existing foundation, yeah.
Yeah. It would never.
How long has that been,
Don't ever assume that.
Yeah. How long has that foundation been there, do you guys know? Does anybody know?
It has to be rebuilt within 2 years after the structure was demolished.
Excuse me?
I believe it was 2 years after the structure was demolished to build on the same footprint. Otherwise, it has to comply with the current zoning ordinances, which is 25 feet from setbacks from the property lines.
Okay. What do I have here?
One Wheel Drive was built about 12 years ago, 15 maybe.
Yeah, but that was Jay Nelson's shop.
Yeah,
before
so
that.
The cell tower business there.
Yeah, that
Was there a building when he had it? Yeah. It was a steel building? Is that what was there before?
I don't remember.
So was there a footprint
Yeah.
fields and setbacks on this? No.
I drew a setback on the floor.
Okay, yeah, that would be helpful.
Oh, yeah, I have. these
Do you have that?
Yeah, I'll pull it up. This is your sketch that you're looking for?
Yes.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Zoom in.
So we're actually 69 feet from the center of the road to the corner of the existing foundation.
And what about from the property line? So you have to be 25 feet, which the only problem you might have is to the southern.
The pole barn is 65 feet from the property line, And then,
Is this field, does this say existing field? What does that say?
yeah, leach field.
Oh, leach field.
Yeah,
Existing
Oh, no, that's
site.
where the house used to be.
not, couldn't have been on a leach field. Must have been behind it.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
There's
So
an old
existing-
structure there. that
Existing
goes back.
driveway, this is the footprint
Of
of
the
what
foundation.
was
Yeah,
one wheel drive. Yeah, so it's got plenty of room for.
And so from that existing foundation to the right, has to be more than 25 feet.
Oh,
yeah, we're way past that. We're-
Yeah, just keep that in mind, so
Yeah.
so you don't get here and then.
Right.
Go to the CBA
yeah.
or
You
something.
do have to put the numbers on the permit, on that.
From that side?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
so if the pole barn is 65, we're probably close to.
Yeah.
100 from that one side.
Yeah.
Setbacks is 25 all the way around? Okay.
Yes.
And now we'll have to have cheap saw.
What's behind that lot? Is it just, if you go back to,
So
it's
rather.
just wetlands?
It's lot 53. Whatever it is.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah,
Eric's.
that's a pretty big lot.
Rick's house back there, yeah. He owns quite a bit.
I think Rick's might be over here.
Well, maybe he's on the roof. That's
That's
it.
where the
Yeah.
cell tower is.
Oh, yeah.
There is a south tower up there.
Yeah.
There's the cell tower, yeah.
Actually, Rick's is good for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what lot 53 is.
Hmm.
But we can look it up on the.
Pretty good
This
size.
is the cell tower.
Yeah.
That was quite a large one.
Oh, just was. Oh. Okay.
So I just need to just write down the foundation to those.
I would
To
just
the line.
resave all property lines because the fire chief's gonna come out and he's
Yeah.
gonna wanna see all
Yeah.
of that.
If it's like over 100 feet and like 102 plus or minus,
Plus,
you
right.
have to get to the end.
Okay.
So there'll be a number, the whole thing you'll need to do, this is preliminary consultation, right? So our next monthly meeting, we can schedule for, like we just had,
Mm-hmm.
a public hearing for site plan review. This is
Okay.
gonna require site plan review. And I'll email you the documents of what the requirements are that you need to meet for
Yep.
site plan review. And we can communicate through that,
Okay,
through email to,
okay.
get you where you need to be so that at the meeting next month,
Will be,
we can go through the process.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Uh,
Do you guys need me to make another set of big plans for you guys?
I'll
Okay.
communicate all that stuff with you. And the big thing is that there's a requirement of 20 days before the meeting, having your completed application submitted.
Okay.
So I'll send you what you need
Yeah,
to submit.
well, I gave them, I sent them a permit and a check.
Yep.
And I think they already deposited it.
Okay.
I'm not sure if they did.
Was that for the pole barn though? Not-
No, it was for this,
For the building permit.
for the building, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Site plan review is a different process.
Okay,
It will be a different.
there'll be another
check.
fee also?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So the fee that I gave them was just for the permit
For the building.
for the building? Okay. So it'll be a site plan fee also, okay.
And I'll email you.
Which you guys will let me know at the next meeting, okay,
Well, I'll send it all to you tonight,
okay,
and if we, if you and we get it organized and scheduled, we can have the whole site plan review process at the next meeting,
okay,
Yeah.
okay. And you gotta do it once a month?
once a month,
Yeah.
second Monday of the month, so what did I just say?
July
July 11th. July 11th at 6:30 will be the next meeting.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there anything else that I would need? So what you tell me what I gotta do? Okay,
That's right.
okay. So basically I gotta drop another sketch, so it's got, basically, right? Drawing up,
Just,
Let's-
if
if
you
you,
have a copy of that, you could
yeah.
just put the existing, the setbacks on it, it'd be fine. I would,
okay,
if I may. Just take a look at the zoning ordinances and under our commercial residential, section and just make sure that everything you're planning is
passes.
going to comply with all of that.
Okay.
And you probably won't have a problem.
okay. Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, I will send you the direct links to these.
Yes,
This is the Albany website,
Okay.
but this information you can also get to it yourself under boards and planning board.
Mhm.
Here we are. Has ordinances, which you want to read through for the commercial section.
Mhm.
Site plan review application, site plan review checklist all the things you're gonna need. And then the fee schedule,
Gotcha.
which will tell you what the fees are.
Okay.
So for the public hearing, we need 20 days before the meeting, so 20 days before
You need that.
July 11th. The information plus a check, so that, because we will need to notify the abutters by certified mail
Mhm.
that we're gonna have
Okay.
the site plan review.
All right. I'll jump on it as soon as possible, as soon as I get the email.
All right,
Sounds good.
thank you. Anything?
I think it's great.
I think it's very too. I think it's gonna be beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It'd be nice.
Welcome.
Appreciate you guys' time.
Yes, thank you for yours, thank you for waiting.
Yeah, sorry.
It is what it is.
Never know, until you open the can
I'll
of
take
worms.
that back.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, when you read that checklist, right, I'd say feel free to call to see if there's anything.
Yeah, I
on
wanna
it
make sure
And you're
that,
not sure,
when-
because
when I
we
go
do have the
back
power
to
to
that-
waive some of those if they're necessary. It's a little involved.
I don't think it's what he's proposing is gonna happen.
No, we don't have to worry about it, yeah.
if there's something I
Sometimes a
don't
little
know,
overwhelming.
if there's
when
something I
you
don't
read it.
understand, I'll just let.
Yeah.
That's why I said read through the
The plan.
zoning ordinances.
I like
just
those.
something-
Who do I reach out to? Jason, you got to-
Topographic.
It'll be to me.
Yeah,
okay.
You need that.
You don't have your.
I think it was big, so here is the checklist. And so it's a plot plan, right? So that's design drawings. The plot plan by a surveyor with the property run, like this is the part. Is this gonna be needed or do we waive this part because it's
I mean,
If it was,
easily meeting the setbacks?
And it's already, the
plus it's existence.
footprints are existing.
That's why I brought up, we
Setting
should be able to
precedents.
waive some of that, like the topographic and
And we could go through that right now.
It's not a bad precedent.
No,
You know, I think it's, I mean, the biggest thing this board needs, in my opinion, would just be the setbacks and the location of the structure that are gonna be on it.
and
we
he's already got the
it's already
design plan,
Yeah,
so
so just,
he's just building up.
just get the feet, and so we have something to
Okay.
go off. I think it's one big waste of
Do you
money.
need a
having all
vote to
set of
waive some of
plans
these
done.
things? Sean?
That's a good question.
Yeah, no.
We have in the past.
we
Four
have.
months.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're asking to get a surveyor, it's gonna be
So-
4 months from now.
Well,
so.
No.
We should probably vote to waive some of these things.
I think we should, yeah.
The vicinity map.
If we weed some of these out, it'll save you a lot of time.
Yeah.
Well, I think you can draw your own maps, right? I don't think it has to be by a surveyor.
Well, if it was an empty lot, I would say a surveyor, yes,
Yeah.
but since it's existing, everything's right there in place.
Are you
I'm not
building,
moving anything,
you're building on the existing foundation?
existing foundation, yeah.
I see, yeah, okay.
He has a driveway permit from the
Yeah.
state, 'cause we don't care about that.
Yeah.
It's building.
Names and addresses of others that we can-
You do have to drop a print off for the chief to review, that's one of the.
So
things.
let's just cruise through these quick. Documents required. Application, still gonna need it. 5 copies of plot plan. A digital plan and a printed plan, I think will suffice.
Yeah, absolutely, we don't need 5 copies of that.
No.
Waste of paper.
Just a PDF that you guys got?
A digital will work, yes. This part will all be required. This is the notifying the abutters part.
Yep.
And then the filing fees is just required. Driveway permit, you already have.
Mhm.
All applicable federal, state, and town approvals. So this is the fire chief approval and your septic.
It might, so it might not be on record. It may not be.
Are you
I
doing
know,
it
I know
yourself?
it's a pump system because I could see where it was through the fire, or whatever. Was it a fire? Because the foundation here and the field's right here, so it's definitely a pump system. So it's getting that, once I get going, it's getting that all approved. I'm probably gonna have to tear up some of that slab to make sure the pipe's good inside, and
Figure it out.
Jack Harrison's concrete out to make sure everything's gonna be inspected and get it done right.
So you're not doing a new septic?
No, I'm gonna go up through the existing.
Yeah.
And then tie into the wells. From what I heard, the previous guy that was gonna buy it said the well was working fine. But again, I'll have it checked.
Yeah.
I wanna make sure everything gets checked. I don't cut corners. I wanna make sure everything's done right.
Appreciate
I hate going backwards.
Yes.
I've been doing this for 40 years, so nothing worse than trying to go backwards. I don't wanna do that.
Is septic state?
So septic is state, but before like 1982, you're not gonna find them. It may be possible if you come down here and speak to the town administrator and selectman's office, maybe a copy in there.
Yeah, do you know who, I wonder, do anybody know who did the field? So, I mean, the field's over, is it over 20 years old?
Oh, yeah.
It is,
Oh, yeah.
so we don't even know who did it.
Or for how many people,
The
right?
thing is, if there's nothing going wrong with it, we cannot
Yeah,
insist that.
you think Stan Eldridge did it? Did he do a lot of stuff around here? I know when I bought my property in Ossipee, Stan did a lot of stuff, but it wasn't a document.
I would suggest coming down and speak with Kelly on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, if she's here,
Okay.
and ask.
Try to find out if we can
Bring
find
your
an
map
old,
and
an
lot
old,
number and just see if there's a septic system on
Yeah.
file here.
Yeah.
If it's earlier than 1982, you're not gonna find it at the state, you didn't record it then.
Or you could call Jay Nelson,
yeah.
and he probably did it, I would suspect.
Oh, probably.
He built that facility,
Right.
so.
Was he the first?
Yes.
Oh, he was, okay.
So he,
The Red House?
no,
The Red House was existing for a long time.
yeah, I would suspect he put that in, but
House.
I don't know.
Yeah, because he's got it, I mean, it's set high.
But you might just ask him.
Yeah, oh, well, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Well, so our ordinances require septic, functioning septic, right? So I don't know how that goes.
So I would imagine the fire chief will go out and take a look, if it's not failing. you
It's
don't have to-
required on the building permit, a number.
Again, if it's
If
just,
It's
it's not
existing, I
failing.
don't
if
know.
it's not failing, we have no right
Well, there's gotta be a number somewhere. I
to.
mean, you've had two
And
other
again, the
existing owners.
state, before 1982,
Yeah,
the state doesn't.
but you guys don't have the old application from the last person?
If it was updated.
Oh, okay. So I'll find it, you
if
said,
they
is
put in
it
a
Kelly
new-
you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
If they put in a new septic system, yes, of course, and that you could even find on the DES
Right.
website.
Yeah.
The numbers, but anything with the older
Yeah.
stuff, you're not gonna.
Did Jay put up the building?
He put up the building, I'm not sure about the house on the lot. I know he
Yeah.
lived there for a long time.
Oh, at one time it was
There was a house
residential.
on, where you're saying where the leach field is,
Yeah.
there was a house there.
So at one time it was residential and commercial, at one time?
I don't remember,
It had to be if you were living there.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'll do some homework, see what I can do.
Okay.
Give Jay a call.
I'm just gonna keep cruising through this,
Yep.
hopefully if we can save you some
Yep.
steps where they're not needed.
Yep.
So all deeds and restrictions that come with the property.
Yep.
Will need to be
Copies of them.
part of the,
Yep.
part of the application. The vicinity map, so this mapping stuff, this can be your hand-drawn thing, right? This does not have to be done by a surveying.
Yeah.
But, and I think we can exempt the title block, or you will have it is your company, is this property,
Right,
and here are the setbacks.
right.
I think we can get rid of the 1 inch 400 feet. The scale,
Is that on the town?
that's the
plot plan?
scale, that's the scale.
Can't see.
1 inch 400 feet, not
I
needing
mean,
the
it's
scale.
if he's referencing
It's
the tax
existing.
map, we know where it is.
Yeah, right. I think we can waive this.
Existing foundation.
Existing foundation, right, so, right, so you don't need to hire an engineer to get it 1 inch
Right.
equals 400 feet. It's
Right.
far enough from the setbacks, it's not
Gotcha.
a real close
Gotcha.
call. Tax map, parcel number required. Identification of budding properties, we'll have that from the tax map. Any surveyors that you're using, which you're not right now.
And then,
Um, Graphic scale, 1 inch, 40 feet, I think we can waive that. Agree?
Yeah.
A symbol legend, a north reference. Location to zoning district boundaries, this is commercial. Wetlands,
Worrying about it.
this property
It's
is,
beyond my property.
there's no wet on your
Yeah,
property at
yeah.
all.
There
Topographic,
was over to monitor.
small enough, you're gonna need every bit of this. Yes. Topographical map at 2-foot intervals, we can waive this, I believe.
Yeah.
I guess. One benchmark, we can waive, it's existing. Survey of property lines, again, this can be your drawing.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be a surveyor, but these things will be needed, right? Location of the markers, distances,
Should show on the tax.
should all be on the tax map. Location of existing deed restrictions, if there are any from the deed, when you're drawing out the thing to show where there are any easements or deed restrictions, if there are any.
Yeah.
Any water, you said there's no water on the property, there's no standing water, no streams, no wetlands. This is flat, basically,
Base, yeah.
flat sand.
Yep.
Soil types, again, you're going on the existing thing,
Mhm.
so that can be waived. Supplementary location, sign, are you planning to have a sign?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you guys about the sign. Is this a sign that's dead? Can that be removed and replaced with a new one?
You'll have to, sorry.
There's a process, so the process is signs go to the select board.
Okay.
Where you're gonna put the sign,
Same location, it's gonna be a
it can be in
wooden.
the same location.
Right now, it's a metal steel one. I just wanna put I'm a timber framer.
Yep.
So I'm gonna do a timber frame,
Nice.
kind of
Yeah.
nice design.
Great.
And I'm also thinking of putting the entranceway with some timbers,
Yeah.
because I wanna lock it at night and gate it off.
Yeah.
But I wanna look nice, I want to be presentation,
Yeah.
eye popper.
I like it. So wherever the sign is or is going to be, just on your sketch map, needs to be identified.
Measured off the center of the road, because where the existing one is. Okay,
Off the building, off the road.
okay,
Again, on the ordinances, we have a sign ordinance, and you can take a look at that and see what the.
okay.
what it
Okay, so
requires.
basically I want it in the same location, I just wanna pull the old one off
Yeah.
and do
Take
what,
a look and just see what
okay.
it is from the center line, I
Okay.
believe it's 33 feet.
Will you be sending me that too? Okay, awesome.
Oh,
Maybe
the
it's like
sign.
Yeah,
It's all part of the ordinances,
Okay.
zoning ordinances.
33 feet from the center or 5 feet from the traveled way, which I can never figure out exactly what that is. It's 33 feet from the center, but it's in the ordinances,
Okay.
on the side, yeah.
So that sign's probably off, probably in the right spot.
No, no, it might be.
Okay.
It might be okay.
Lighting, your design plans have outdoor lighting included in
It
it?
doesn't,
Doesn't.
I would put a lighting on the building. Do I need something near the gate? Will I need something near the gate?
It's not us saying what you need, it's just whatever lighting you plan to have it identified when you come for site plan review.
Okay.
And then there is in the ordinances, there are some things about lighting.
Okay.
Shielding so that light stays on the property and isn't bright lights. shining
Right,
around,
basically
creates a
wasn't,
scene.
I mean, once I leave during the day, at the end of the day, I'm really not gonna have, I might have a light on the sign, I don't know yet.
You want to read the sign ordinance because it
Okay.
states it has to come down.
Right, facing, you don't want it in the road, you want it
The
facing.
light has to shine down onto the sign, not up on, it's spelled out.
Gotcha, okay,
It's all in the ordinance, it's pretty easy.
okay,
I'll help you with it if you call too.
okay.
We don't need 7 plats. One will do, I think, or 2. Well, I'll let you know.
Okay,
One for
The chief's gonna want one.
we'll probably need 3. That's what it'll come down to, but I'll let you know.
okay,
7 is excessive.
okay.
Plans and profiles for road standards. It's existing driveway. This is waived, I think.
Yeah, it's a state.
Yeah.
It's fine. You don't care about that.
You're not, are you improving the road with curb or anything, or?
No, I might just pave, a little bit more in.
Yeah.
Once we get in there.
So that sketched out, I guess on your sketch.
Is it already paved in some?
It's paved in probably 20 feet or something,
Uh,
so I might just wanna go a little bit further for a parking area for the staff.
So I think all of this, I would say, it be required. It doesn't have to be done by a surveyor. It can be part of your sketch, right? But this
So I'll just draw it in for future pavement.
where parking lot's gonna be, what the surface is gonna be.
And I'll do the length of where it stops.
Yep.
The distance, and then future. Okay.
Sounds good.
Yep.
We have plan view and elevation view. Location of existing drainage, sanitary sewers, water, gas, electric. Those would be required still.
Okay.
Again, this can be your drawing if you
Yep.
want to. Landscaping, including parking spaces, yes, required.
Yeah.
Existing open spaces, yes, required. And delivery truck access and turnaround. Do you have enough space for turnaround for
Yeah,
whatever size vehicles you're planning to have as part of your business?
yeah,
Mostly
mostly pickup trucks and trailers.
Good.
I got a couple of cranes, but they're just small cranes.
Okay.
So,
and where power and phone lines are, or
existing already there.
whatever's existing, if you're planning to put anything new in, it should be.
Yeah. Yeah,
And that's the checklist.
okay. So I haven't got up to I was trying to get in first and get it approved. So I haven't decided what I'm doing yet, if I'm doing radiant heat, so I haven't really decided what I'm doing for heat yet. I'm just gonna try and get a cost for the building and see where I'm at.
Yeah.
Definitely regarding electricity, just don't wanna do it with heat yet.
Yeah.
It's either duct or HVAC, but probably propane, if I do that.
That'll be on the building permit, you can write to be determined,
Okay,
but you will have to write.
Yeah.
If it.
yeah, I'm just gotta go through the cost.
Will have to be insulated, but you don't have to state exact.
For our purposes, it's not, that's really not part of planning board
Okay.
purview.
Just put, to be determined, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I will send you a bunch of documentation, for you to work on,
Sounds good.
and,
I'll jump on as soon as I can,
all right,
so I can get it done before the 20 days.
okay. Any other?
Make a motion to waive all the points aforementioned
Yes.
by Sean,
Yes.
as I made that motion.
Okay.
A second,
So you don't need to do this next week to get it in before the 20 days.
Yeah.
Just,
But yeah, you have about 2 weeks until.
right,
Yeah,
so
we can
about
have
2
it.
weeks.
Yeah.
You just gotta post it in the paper, you gotta give time for the certifieds to get out and to the property owners and.
Well, then one of the neighbors know me, 'cause they borrowed my parking lot the other day. Was it a wedding, was it
they
a,
bought your grill too, and they never used it.
I'm sorry, I was typing. Who seconded? Peter?
Peter did, yeah.
Okay. So Kathy made a motion to waive the site plan review checklist items as identified by Sean Wadsworth in the preliminary consultation. I will go back and itemize those, but we are agreed with what they were. Peter Carboni seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. All right. So you have those items waived that we talked
Thank
about. I'll, in the email,
gotcha,
reiterate what they are.
okay, perfect,
And we'll look forward to seeing you next month.
sounds good, thank you. Have a great night.
Yeah, you-
Thank
you.
Last item, this one should be quickie. Map 7, lot 115, this is Tin Mountain with their pole barn, basically, their education thing that Mr. Vanderpool came to present about. We did the site plan review, we had the hearing, we did the process, we approved it on condition of getting the plot plans. His engineer or whoever it is that's doing the plot plans is just backed up. They want to move forward with construction because they got things rolling and scheduling. And so Mr. Vanderpool's request is, can they move forward with construction before submitting the plot plans on good faith that the plot plans will be submitted? in the next month or two, but they're gonna start construction before the actual plot plan comes in. Discussion.
I think it's a pretty low impact thing, so,
I agree.
you know.
It's far back
It's a
from
pole
setbacks.
barn down in the woods.
Yes.
I mean, we're not really setting a precedent, because when are you gonna ever have a similar situation to this?
Yes.
I don't
My backyard.
know. Wow. It makes sense, and I could have seen that coming, huh? I make a motion to accept it.
Yes.
To let him start building
All right.
on good faith. For the
Yes.
plot plan to arrive in a couple months, I'm sure.
Timely. I don't know, whatever. The plot plan. Okay, Curtis Coleman made a motion to allow the construction to begin with the good faith expectation that the plot plans will be submitted in a timely manner is vague, but within 6 months.
You should have a time, yeah. Stated time.
Within 6 months. Thing to be completed, and they will. So we expect they will, and almost certainly will. So that is the motion. Second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? None? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. All right. Thank you. Minutes of last meeting. Everyone had a chance to review.
I reviewed them. They're good.
Okay. Any motions?
What's the motion to approve?
Yes.
Approve. I make a motion.
I'll second it.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to
Who
get
was
somebody
it?
else to
Who
turn.
gets it?
Selectmen meeting.
Peter. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
And if you want me to approve, I can raise my hand for that one if you want. Not, well, the abstain, I guess, works, but yeah, everyone approved anyway, you don't need me to deciding.
All right. I have no further agenda items. Anyone else? Anything? Bueller? No? Okay. All right. Motion to adjourn.
Second. 8:24.
Meeting adjourned at
How long are you?